we're back, AdventureBlur here. So, as many of you probably know, I am a NiGHTS fan. I've talked about the series constantly on the channel. I made who knows how many videos so far. I'll probably make a bunch more. I own like 3 copies of the original. It's not healthy. But there's one thing in the series I've never talked about, never really touched on, nothing. And that is the Nights into Dreams comics. Because those exist. So in the 90s, during the height of the Archie Sonic era, Archie somehow got the rights to make comics on Nights into Dreams for the Sega Saturn. This is going to be a very interesting video, because in it, I want to go over the story of both miniseries and talk about the good, the bad, and the weird. Because it gets weird. Whew. But let's do it. Let's get started. Now the story begins with the forging of a spire by a blacksmith who was possessed by Wise Man, the king of all nightmares, to do it. Not even 2 pages in and we got possession. Turns out this was Wise Man's plan to come into the human world and take over. Only problem is, he needs the true power of a perfect dream from 2 dreamers to do so, and they only show up once every century. Though that's obviously not a problem for old Wise Man because he's already captured both of them in the dream world. Soon the ceremony to open the world between worlds begins, and one of the dreamers convinces a certain purple jester who's probably not important to desert Wise Man and save them. Soon both the dreamers are saved by Nights. Wise Man sends Rial to go after Nights, and the story really begins. With the help of 2 Nightopians named Snooze and Nap, Nights escapes and sends the 2 red idiots that Wise Man needed into the human world along with the dreamers. Though while Nights did this, one of them broke and the shard lashed itself onto Nights. So yeah, that random gem on Nights has lore in these comics. Neat. Snooze and Nap go with the idiots to the human world and soon startle the old man who created that spire. The man mutters how they look like 2 seeds, which leads him to name his newly made town Twin Seeds. Oh. That's 100 years later, and the Nightopians realize that Wise Man's probably going to try to get the idiots back. This leads Nap and Snooze to try to hunt down this generation's pure dreamers. This isn't all that hard, seeing as they both live in the same city and literally run by each other. Of course, these 2 are Claris and Elliot, and just like in the games, they got some problems. Elliot's overconfidence leads him to embarrassing himself during a basketball practice. Claris, meanwhile, has some serious confidence issues and ran out of an audition because of her own self-doubt. Claris is even reminded of her stage fright by her instructor, Madame Puffala. You know, I wonder if she'll have her own dream counterpart or something. A defeated Elliot is actually startled by Claris's singing when he walks by her practicing. Elliot gets really into the singing too, until he's knocked out by the Nightopian Snooze.
Hi, I'm Snooze.
Time passes and we're back with Elliot. Elliot's told everything by Snooze. Snooze then knocks him out again by smashing him with a hammer so that he can be asleep and see Nightopia. Snooze, now in dreamland with Elliot, then proceeds to introduce Elliot to Nights. Turns out that during this last 100 years, Nights and Riala were both in prison after the ordeal. Nights for betraying Wise Man, and Riala for failing to stop Nights from betraying Wise Man. Elliot then dualizes with Nights and they're off. Wise Man sees this happen and sends out Gilwing to destroy Nights and this new dreamer, who he somehow can't comprehend is the pure dreamer he needed. So I don't really get why he's trying to kill him. While Elliot and Nights deal with Gilwing, Claris falls asleep and is now face to face with Puffy. Nights realizes that Claris is in danger and jumps out of Elliot while they're fighting Gilwing to save Claris. Nights is able to save her and defeat Puffy in no time, though that still leaves Elliot with Gilwing, until Snooze introduces Elliot to his backup plan, the alarm clock. Unlike the games, where that normally means a game over, the alarm clock in this is actually an escape from any dreams too freaky or too dangerous. Actually, pretty cool. I like how they handled that. With Claris and Nights doing their own thing now, Wise Man decides to use one of Elliot's bullies, Roger, to fight knights. Wiseman convinces Roger, probably with some candy or something, to duelize with Riala and join him. Elliot and Knights defeat Gilwing pretty easily now. While they do it, Snooze explains to them both his plan to defeat Wiseman. Take out each of his Nightmaren in the day so that the second dreamer, Claris, could have an easier time finishing off Wiseman that night. Elliot calls Snooze out on this and tells him that he can't do that. He's got a life and school to deal with. Snooze then lets Elliot in on a little secret. When Elliot dualizes with Knights, not only is he controlling Knights' body, but Knights is controlling his.
What could possibly go wrong?
This, unsurprisingly, leads to problems. Knights, while controlling Elliot's body, goes on a field trip to a museum that has the original Twin Seeds Tower prototype. While there, Knights goes off on a long speech about the true origins of the tower. At least, Knights was doing that, until Riala in Roger's body interrupts and goes off about Wiseman's plans for the world. It's weird. Meanwhile, back in Dreamland, the Nightmaren Jackal captures the other Nightopian Nap and fuses him with a Nightmaren. This leads to Nap now working for Wiseman and explaining Snooze's whole plan to Wiseman. Now back in the human world again, it's now lunchtime and Elliot Knight sees a Nightmaren fly by. Knights tries to catch it, but instead starts a food fight, which quickly leads to Knights and Claris being knocked out by the Nightmaren. While this is going on, Elliot in Knights' body is attacked by Jackal. Claris, who is now in Nightopia, is attacked by Gulpo. This then leads to Knights jumping back and forth between them to help them defeat their Nightmarens. While Knights keeps jumping back and forth, Wiseman uses this time to tempt Claris and Elliot into helping him. Elliot says no, but Claris agrees and loses her red Idia. The issue ends with Claris losing all of her confidence, and Elliot thinking everything that happened was just a dream after all and not real. Now that Claris and Elliot are basically out of the picture, Knights is trying to take on Wiseman alone. This doesn't work out that well, and Wiseman sends out Riala to get revenge. While the fight goes on, Snooze convinces Nap to help him save the world again from Wiseman, and they soon go off to find the Dreamers once again. Back in the waking world, Claris, who gave away her red Idia, fails her song audition. Yeah, that guy looks like he's hurt. Claris leaves the building, but is soon thrust into the air by Wiseman's powers. Elliot, who just went to sleep, is confronted by Riala and soon realizes that his dreams were also reality the whole time. He jumps out of a window in the dream and is saved by Snooze, who takes him to the Twin Seeds Tower. Just like in the game, Knights is being held there and it's up to Claris and Elliot to save Knights and the day. Riala attacks Elliot and Elliot suddenly learns that he can fly on his own. Snooze takes care of Riala while Elliot and now Claris fly over and rescue Knights. They both then duelize with Knights and they fight Wiseman, defeating him and saving the world. Knights was heavily injured during the fight though, and Claris and Elliot have to sacrifice their red Idias of courage to try to heal Knights. This works pretty strangely, because it did save Knights, but it also gave them both even more strength and confidence than ever before, allowing them both to succeed in their goals. Elliot at basketball against Roger, and Claris in her second audition. It also leads to them meeting in person and making out for some reason. I don't know, this kind of came out of nowhere. One minute they just met, and the next, this was happening. Finally, it led to something no one saw coming. Knights was saved, but Knights was also, somehow, brought into the real world. With that, the first miniseries ends. It was, overall, a good enough read. It stayed roughly true to the game, and seeing some new lore on things like Knights' gym was pretty nice, but it wasn't amazing. Now the second miniseries, it's something. This miniseries begins with both Elliot and Claris dreaming of meeting up for a date. The entire thing is just really weird and really weird. When they wake up, they do summon up perfectly though. I think what bugs me is the fact that this was probably someone's first introduction to the Knights series. And this was the first thing they saw. It kind of angers me, to be honest. But anyways, this does lead to them wondering where NiGHTS was to guard them from these nightmares, but they soon forget about it and go about their day. Throughout the next day, they're both drained and keep falling asleep everywhere they go, not realizing that NiGHTS is the reason why. Because NiGHTS is in the real world, their own energy is being used to fuel NiGHTS and keep NiGHTS around. While in the waking world, NiGHTS does get into quite a bit of trouble, including nearly killing a parachuter, stopping some terrorists from taking the Twin Seats Tower, and being chased by cops who think NiGHTS is also a terrorist. Yep, this is exactly how I remember the games. Just like the games. No differences whatsoever. At all. Clarice and Elliot, realizing NiGHTS is in the real world, ditch school and try to find NiGHTS, which isn't too terribly hard, seeing as they can somewhat see where NiGHTS is in their mind. They almost catch NiGHTS when they are caught by a police officer who takes them in so that he can find out what school they're from and take them back there. Meanwhile, NiGHTS is dealing with some pretty rough problems, such as all the courage NiGHTS has disappearing, and NiGHTS being found and helped by Roger Riala himself. Roger Riala imprisons NiGHTS in Roger's parents' basement. How the heck Roger did this without his parents finding out is beyond me.
What is happening in there?
Aurora Borealis?
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your
parents' basement.
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
While down there, NiGHTS is quickly fading away. You see, NiGHTOpians can't stay in the human world for long, or else they'll disappear forever. While NiGHTS is dying, Clarice and Elliot are stuck at the police station. While there, Clarice and Elliot watch terrorists that NiGHTS beat up earlier be brought in and interrogated. During this interrogation, they explain that they know something's going on at the Twin Seats Tower, and are going to stop it by just flat out destroying the tower. Out of nowhere, they're broken out by a giant tank that looks like it came out something like Mega Man than Nights in the Dreams. Because, why not? In the chaos, Clarice and Elliot escape and, with the help of Snooze and Nap, head to Roger's house to save NiGHTS. While all this happens, Lucio Lawful, who's in charge of the police, meets with the owner of Twin Seats Tower, Mr. Weiss, to tell him what happened. Mr. Weiss tells her that he isn't sure why they'd be targeting the building, but that he is actually constructing 5 more Twin Seats Towers all across town. Clarice and Elliot break into Roger's house and help NiGHTS escape. Roger wasn't even really guarding NiGHTS either, he was just playing on his computer. NiGHTS is barely alive by this point, and soon all of them are heading back to Twin Seats Tower to try to put NiGHTS back into NiGHTopia. Alright, I've gone this long without saying it, but I gotta say it. The art of the second miniseries is trash. It's terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. I never wanted to see this face on NiGHTS, yet it's there. And I hate it. Anyways, when Riala finds out about Roger's failure, he cuts all ties with him and basically tortures him for it. It isn't long until Twin Seats Tower is attacked again by the terrorist group, and soon the owner of the building, Mr. Weiss, is captured by them and is used as a hostage while they head up to the top of the building to destroy it. NiGHTS and the others quickly find out about the attack, and NiGHTS flies over to the tower to stop it, knowing that it might destroy any chance of returning to NiGHTopia. NiGHTS flies over there and is about to stop the bomb altogether when it goes off, destroying the gates and releasing Riala into the waking world. Turns out the explosion did destroy the top of the tower, but the power from it opened up the Sentry Gate once again, giving Riala time to arrive and seize control. This then leads to a large-scale fight between Riala and NiGHTS over Twin Seats that's actually really good. It breaks the fourth wall throughout in a fun and dreamlike way, where they use the exclamation points from the pages as weapons and more. Gotta give them credit where it's due. I like it. During the struggle, Clarice and Elliot find Roger and talk to him, asking him why he would ever work with Riala. Roger admits that he's not sure anymore. He then decides to stop giving Riala his dream energy for good, leaving NiGHTS and Riala in the same problem. They both need to get back to NiGHTopia fast, or they'll no longer exist. NiGHTS and Riala race towards the dream portal, and at the last second, NiGHTS makes it in, leaving Riala to disappear from all existence. Now that Riala's gone and Twin Cities is saved, the remaining Nightopians wonder what will happen next with their world and the Waking One. Snooze tells them all that there's nothing to worry about anymore. Any Nightmares that try to get into the human world will have to deal with its new guardian, Nights. The end. Overall, this was a mixed bag. The first miniseries, albeit predictable and a little plain, still stayed true to the feel and wonders of the Night series, to the point where I'd say it was well worth it. Claris, Elliot, Nights, while they're all about as 90s as you can get with their dialogue, still felt like their characters. I enjoyed seeing how the Nightmares were created to fit with the personalities of the characters, like Claris and her Nightmare Puffy, though it is strange that there really wasn't anything like that for Elliot. None of his Nightmare really had any explanation outside of they just exist. Wiseman and Riala were also pretty great, especially Riala. The whole bit about Riala dualizing with Roger was really good, and was something I never thought about before then. Like, it makes so much sense for humans to be able to dualize with Riala, yet this is the only time I can think of where you actually see that happen. I wish I could be as positive about the second series as I was about the first, but I can't. It had so much potential. Unlike the first, where it was just a retelling of the first game, this had the opportunity to continue the story well beyond the games, and instead of doing it in a unique and interesting way, it goes into this strange area about terrorists and doesn't really have much to do about Nightopia at all. Let's put it this way. The second miniseries is about 74 pages in total. Nightopia only appears in 10. 10! I understand focusing on Claris and Elliot, and I wouldn't mind that at all if they did this well, but they didn't. Almost all of it was just them looking for Nights. It didn't have any real character moments or growth, unless you count that opening dream date, which I don't. I think that's my biggest issue with the second series. Growth. Nights as a series is really all about growing and becoming better, yet this series seems scared to go there. Instead of dealing with the problems in Nightopia, or seeing them experience change in their day-to-day lives, we see them just ditch school to save Nights from a kid's basement, while trying to dodge terrorists. The whole idea of people learning that something's up at Twin Seeds and rumors of this dream world would have actually been really interesting to delve into, but they did it in the weirdest and worst way possible. Honestly, I need to stop here. I think I could go on about this second series for a while. But yeah, not good. But what did you guys think? Did you like the comics? Did you hate them? Are you like me and you have really mixed feelings on all of it? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and please check out some of my other Nights videos if you are interested in the series. And if you are interested in the series, play the games. I can't recommend them enough. Seriously, they are amazing. But anyways, this is AdventureBlur, and I will see you next time.